want to start off by thanking Laura and Deacon's office for inviting us here this evening for this important conversation, and to the AFC as well. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my background. I'm a little bit of a unicorn as a Latina, as many of us are. I am the daughter of a Black Haitian man and a white Dutch background woman. My mother is Jewish. My father is Catholic. I came to this country when I was 7 from the Dominican Republic and grew up in Elizabeth. During the 80s, growing up in Elizabeth with biracial parents, we faced all types of adversity and discrimination that you could possibly have felt. Growing up, even when I tell people the story that when we first came to this country and we were looking for an apartment, the landlord said, we don't allow blacks in this neighborhood. We were moving into the Italian section of Elizabeth, and my mom dressed us in our prettiest dresses, kind of hit my father in the back, and said, and then they kind of interviewed us and looked at us and said, well, you're not black people. And I was like, what does this mean? At my 7-year-old self, what does this mean? Are we going to be able to have an apartment? Am I going to have a place to live? My father pumped gas at a gas station. My mother was sorted clothes in a textile factory, and I was the youngest of 4 girls who grew up very, very poor. Knowing one thing, that the power of education, and that my parents brought us to this country to reach an American dream that was not going to be available to us in our country. And I still know that to be true today. My parents brought me here for something bigger. And my sisters and I worked very hard. People tell me, why don't you refer yourself to yourself as Dr. Bagolie? You have a doctorate. I don't refer to myself as Dr. Bagolie because those are degrees that I earned to thank my parents for everything they did for me and the high sacrifices that they made and everything that they left behind to bring me to this country. So while today I may be Dr. Bagolie or Assemblywoman Bagolie, that's just as a result of the big decisions my parents made and the sacrifices that they made to get me to where I am today. So why is this conversation important? It's so important to me. We're all part of what's happening in our communities today, and we're seeing a different type of world. I saw it, I was saying how I've been in education for 25 years, I've been a teacher for 25 years, and as an assemblywoman, you may not see me speaking so much publicly or even on my Facebook pages or Instagrams about immigration because I am the principal superintendent of a 200-student school where 98% of those students are Latinos. And I do not want to shine this heavy spotlight onto my kids where there is a fear that they will come into my community, into my parents' lives, into the disruption of the students' lives that I serve. One of the things I said was, if they ever walk in here, I'm going to jail, and the assemblywoman will be all over the papers. There's no way they're touching my kids. But if you are part of the Latino community, you all know someone who is undocumented. You all know someone who is working very, very hard at achieving what I haven't coined it, but I continue to refer to it as the American dream. A better life that maybe our parents when we first come here may not achieve for themselves, but I can tell you my dad calls me Dr. Bagolie. We had this running joke as I was growing up. He would say, don't tell me what to do because you're just a high school student and you don't know anything. 2 master's degrees and a doctor later, I say to him, don't tell me what to do, I'm Dr. Bagolie. The best, when I became an assemblywoman, my father for the first time said, I'm so proud of you. And I broke down into tears. And I said to him, I'm more proud of you because of the decisions that you made. So when you help a student or a family member who is going through the distress of what we're living in today, where people are just being picked up off the streets illegally, where they are not being provided with their due process rights, when they're being sent off to some place that is inhumane, because I don't consider what's happening in El Salvador to just be a jail or a prison. It is an inhumane facility or whatever you want to call it. I don't want to use words that may be too outrageous, but it's just definitely not a place that I would consider a humane place for a person to go. When we treat people as if they're less than people, as if they're less than human, there is something really wrong with this world. But the people sitting in this room and those even outside of this room who are too afraid to be here to listen to what we have to say tonight, I always say to those who are in those spaces, we have a responsibility to be their voices. We have a responsibility to speak for those who may be too scared to speak for themselves or who can't speak for themselves. We have a responsibility to help all those who are here bettering their lives and being the next generation or future assembly people or doctors or whatever we want to say that they're going to be in their lives. And I tell every single one of the students in the schools that I go and visit with that their parents brought them here for the same mission. And when they come into my spaces in my schools filled with fear, us as educators have a responsibility to tell them that we're here to protect them and to make sure they're okay. So I support the Immigrant Trust Act, and I support any type of programs and services that are going to help our communities. And we seem to think that this is just a Latino problem. This is not a Latino problem. This is just a problem of individuals who cannot tolerate our community of people who come here from other countries seeking a better life. Somehow the Latino community has been the most targeted, but they're not the only immigrants that are here in the United States. And we seem to think that it's only Latinos who are here in the United States, and we're super focused on that, but we have to have a voice for all members of our community who are suffering through this immigration process. And there has to be an avenue towards legalization, because I think one of the biggest problems is that no one knows how to navigate this system. No one knows if they can navigate their system, and there isn't a process by which we have that is easy for people to feel like they can go and apply for the immigration rights to be able to stay in this country legally. So those of you who are sitting in this room, I'm just going to leave you with what I believe is my mission. And my mission is to be the voice of those who cannot be heard or too afraid to be heard. We have a responsibility to speak up for those individuals who want and need us to speak up for them. And when we are out in the streets protesting or speaking up or having our own rallies and events, you should be there too, because they may not be able to be present. And when we see that injustice is happening in the world, I'm sorry, I did not catch your name. What's the gentleman's name? He said MLK was in this building. Kitali, you said MLK was in this building.
Absolutely.
One of the things he said is, our lives begin to end the day we stay silent to the things that matter.
That's right.
We cannot stay silent to the things that matter in this world. And I gave you a little bit of my background because it's unique to be this, I call myself a unicorn, there's not very many of us. So when you think of those in the Latino community, you think that they're just, mezquinos, or somos parte de una comunidad, what do we call it? Like from the Dominican Republic, we are, I'm forgetting that word, but we're a mixed race of different communities across the entire world. We are not just, the Latinos of Santo Domingo, which is where I come from, or Dominican Republic, or the Latinos of Puerto Rico, who people still don't realize are actually American citizens, or, the Latinos of Cuba. We are a community that comes from a totally unique mix of our lives that make us up the Latino community. This is why I support and love the Latinos of Montclair. Because when you're in a group with the Latinos of Montclair, we're all from religious denominations, different walks of life. We're a mixed race community. We understand the uniqueness of one another. But it's not just one group. It's not just Latinos that are under attack. We are living in a world today where all of our rights right now are being attacked. And I'm only talking about immigration, but just look around you. When our Medicaid rights, I keep telling people I'm waiting with bated breath to see what's going to happen with our education grants and programs. Waiting to see if our after-school programs will be cut for our most vulnerable population. Waiting to see if our title programs are going to be cut, or our IDA grants are going to move to block grants, which is not the way we focus on special education in this state. Every single right, when we talk about a legislator in New Jersey and Medicaid rights, someone said to me yesterday, well, what does that matter? They're saying we're going to be okay with Medicaid and Medicare. No, because in the state of New Jersey, we support gender-affirming care, and we support a women's right to choose, and we allow Medicare to support those programs, and the federal government can say, if you continue to support these programs, we're not going to give you the funding. So, not only are those programs under attack, but the values of New Jerseyans are under attack. And we can't allow that to happen. So I went into a whole different direction because there's so much going on, and that Florida Department to continue to fight for us on the federal Jersey, and I hope that you listen to me and when I tell you that you should continue this fight being the voice of those that cannot speak for themselves. So thank you for giving me the space and the time. I appreciate you very much. If you have any questions for me, I'll stick around for a little bit. Thank you.
Thanks so much.